Afterword. Beautiful neighborhoods on shifting sand. An apology. You may read the word apology and think I'm sorry for this work or the things I have said. But like many other aspects of modern Western Christianity, we have forgotten the meaning of the word apology, which means to give an answer. Thus, when I write an apology, I am not saying this was all in jest, but rather I wish to now give a serious and sober response to the art of neighboring and how it will ultimately fail the Christian community in creating the lasting eternal impact on its readers. When my church decided to take time to preach some sermon series about how we interact with our physical neighbors, I watched closely as I always do. I take the command from Paul in 1 Thessalonians 5:21 and 22 very seriously. Examine everything carefully, hold fast to that which is good, abstain from every form of evil. My church services are generally biblically sound, and to their credit, the pastoral staff did a good job presenting this material in a manner that gave heed to Scripture. But I remember leaning over to a friend at the start of the service on being a good neighbor and saying, "Why are they not taking us to Luke 10:29? Indeed, the staff did not go to that one passage that should have been the very cornerstone in his series on being a good neighbor. The man questioning Jesus who asks, "Who is my neighbor?" I kept going back, waiting for the Sunday they would go into that one glaring passage in the Bible that seems to be missing. But it never came. To be honest, I'm a busy person and not in the habit of being critical of sermons in church, so I let it go until the local city church gathering. What I did not know at the time is how many churches in our town were preaching the same sermon series. While I was cognizant of the book, The Art of Neighboring, and I knew that pastors were using it as a framework, I determined it was probably not a book I would find value in reading. But when I saw how the book was being praised by this whole group of churches, and that the largest churches in my town were trying to start some neighboring movement, complete with commitment cards to organize block parties, I knew I had to take a closer look. By happenstance, I was dog-sitting for a friend whose church was also going through this neighboring series, and she happened to have a copy of the book. So I purloined it to obtain an opportunity to read the tome. I was exactly correct in my gut instinct. The book is yet another example of modern-day theological garbage dotting the Christian landscape, promising yet another perfect plan to usher in a new awakening. Once I saw yet another book promising to grow community, grow the church, and save many people, I knew I could get mad, I could write a blog post, or I could just write a whole book and let the entire silliness of 21st century first world Christianity pour forth on the pages. While the 12 chapters preceding in this book represent a comical parody of the art of neighboring and modern Christian trends in general, the present chapter will take a serious tone as I detail what could possibly be so wrong with a book trying to help people know their neighbors better. Remember that not all things appearing Christian are really Christian, and even Jesus drove the money changers out of the temple in righteous anger. And Jesus entered the temple and drove out all those who were buying and selling in the temple, and overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who were selling doves. And he said to them, "It is written, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a robber's den." From Matthew chapter 21, verses 12 and 13. This chapter first details some points of praise for the art of neighboring, and then we will look at some sociology, philosophy, psychology, and finally, Scripture. While I believe the scriptural analysis is enough for me to cast this book back to the swine, the other components could prove beneficial to people evaluating the soundness of future books, promising through programs to give people a true taste of God. In reality, the way to truly know and grow close to Christ is through prayer and disciplined Bible study. A little praise. The book The Art of Neighboring does raise our awareness that sometimes our neighborhoods have fallen into miscommunication, mostly driven by the proliferation of the internet age and increased consumerism. We are radically prodded from all angles to buy, and this has taken root in many of our lives, Christian or otherwise. With the focus on consumerism, personal entertainment has become the end-all to a society. More of us are driven to either work harder or enjoy entertainment as we have worked so hard to obtain. In addition, we have become more wary of our world. Even in the community that
Sample complete. Ready to continue?